another edition of the Shirlma Show, and with us today is Cho Nkarimbi Valerie, a full-stack developer with Miya Academy and Lofodo. He's also the founder of Checkham. Welcome to the Shirlma Show.
Thank you.
So we're really glad you're here today.
It's my pleasure. It's my pleasure to be part of the show.
Thank you. So tell me a little bit about being a full-stack developer. So when you talk about being a full-stack developer, what does that mean?
Okay, a full-stack developer is actually it's a software developer.
Okay.
So in software, we're very versed with computers. So we have hardware and software. Software is actually the part we don't see. So you have a software developer, which is very broad, or those who build the software that runs on these various phones and computers. Then we now have a full-stack developer, which is just a subset. A full-stack developer is usually involved with web technologies and databases too. So this is someone who can take a project from scratch and build it and deliver it. So handling both front-end, back-end, and database. That's just what the full-stack means. Without going into it.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So that you're actually a full-stack developer with Miya Academy. So what's Miya Academy is into?
Miya Academy, it's a startup that the whole project started in 2019. Miya Academy is actually was our own way to give back to our community. Growing up, went to school, and then back in university we realized that those back in secondary school were facing the same problems we faced when we were in secondary school, which were having access to content, having access to evaluations based on that content, and having someone mark those evaluations, grade us, tell us where we pass, where we fail, and use our own data to provide some career orientation for us. Yes, so we never had a chance to have such a service. So with the skills in software development, we said, why not give it a try? Why not build this personal digital learning assistant that could actually help the student stress less as to what they'll do in the future, because they have a personal assistant who's tracking them all the time and using their data for their own personal good. Help the parents too, stress less. I mean, parents are usually disturbed after secondary school. What do you do? And the parents is lost. And to an extent again, parents are usually not prepared. Most parents are not prepared for what the kids will do after secondary school, to the point where they don't budget enough. So your child just surprises you, I want to be a doctor. You have no clue if he's even prepared for it. So we said, well, why can this digital learning assistant not start preparing the parent right from Form 1 and keeps tracking and all of that? So that's our vision.
So how does it work?
Miya Academy is it actually runs without internet connection.
Okay.
So all you need to do is, once you download the app, you register for the class you belong to, and then that's all. It will load all the content related to your class. Okay, well, that was how it used to work. Recently, other functionalities have added, like you choosing your educational system, given that we are trying to go beyond Cameroon. So if I'm a Cameroonian, we have two educational systems in Cameroon, like we choose English or French. We're calling Rwanda, like active countries. From Rwanda, I choose a Rwandan educational system, and it's going to load Rwandan content, because our emphasis is you should get your content based on your on the geography. So it's of no need a Cameroonian learning about the Rwandan history in detail. They just know there was a genocide, and that's okay. The Rwandans should just know, okay, I don't know about Cameroon, but one or two things. Yes, but no need going deeply. So the system focuses on providing you with content based on your context, and then following you up based on that, and then orientating you too based on your context. They'll tell you you could do engineering in Cameroon at Polytechnic or any other school around based on your results, but they'll never orientate you to do, to do medicine in Nigeria. Nigeria's own content is going to be based on some context.
So is this some form of like an aptitude test?
It's more than an aptitude test based on our own, from our vision.
Yeah.
Because an aptitude test will simply give you couple of tests you take and then evaluate you based on that. But we said no, we want a holistic approach. The one advantage we find with Miya Academy is Miya Academy is in line with the educational system. So I should not, let me take the case of a parent, for instance. Parent, when kids come back, the parent asks, how was school today? Everyone says, great. Well, you as a parent, how can you fact check that? So you simply, if you have the app, you just download it. If you download it already, you simply ask him, what do you do today? Probably with math. If you click on math, the different topics come up. Based on your national curriculum, you choose a topic and then give him to take an assessment. He takes the assessment there, the system marks, and then tells you how he's doing, grades him. And then you now see and you can better have an idea how he did in school. Yes, so we don't need parents to be literate. What about your normal business? And all you do is a 5 minutes evaluation or 10 minutes, depending on his class, because Form 1 will definitely take less time than, say, Form 4, Pursuits and the rest. And there are lots of visuals to help the parent understand. So he clicks on statistics, and it actually portray all what he has been doing and how he has been doing it.
I think this is amazing, Yeah.
Yeah, it's true, we are not yet there. When I talk we're not yet there is because the whole ecosystem is to embody what a concept we call Miya jobs we want to bring in the future. Some sort of a LinkedIn, but better because it has been tracking you since Form 1, it knows you better. And it's based on your context again. So we might reach there, we might not reach, but so far so good.
So what has been the feedback so far?
Feedback on Miya Academy has been amazing. Okay, I'll take the case of we started before COVID, and believe me, it was hell. Hell because many parents said their kids never touch your phone. Yeah. So we're drawing from schools. The schools we went and said no, you can't come in because. Okay, they said these kids will not use phones in school. We said no, it's an app to be used after school, but they still do not get it, so we're driven. But then, this was actually, at that same time, given that, okay, from the start, when we built it, we actually thought of the English camera, which was novels and servers. That was 2016 when the IT just came up, so we built a system that was wonderful, but it was working with internet connection. So when the internet connection was shut down, noise and servers, we said, whoa, what a blow. So we had to go back to the drawing board and we built something that worked without internet connection. And the experience I really had was a parent in baffled, in the middle of the crisis, even getting to baffled was an issue, students were out of school. So this parent, I don't know how he got to it, but given that we're all from Ngemba, so I don't know how he got to it, but when he reached, I was equally handling customer support at the same time. So he said, but he has found this thing, what's it all about? That was nursery, he had his grandson back in the house with him. So I told him, just download it, and then you find the same things he does in nursery school, you find it on the app, and he can do it back at home. I mean, all without stress. He tried it, at that point, we were charging 500 francs per month. Yeah, he tried it, he paid for the first 2 months. After that, I did not get him again. I don't know what happened, but he loved it, the fact that he paid for 2 months. Yeah, so we don't know what happened after that. But one thing we've actually been very constant with is improving. Yes, because all the feedback has not been direct. It's true that recently that we actually added some metrics, so we're able to track other things rather than just your evaluations, so as to know what to focus on, what not to focus on. And we equally focus so much on the national program too. Like recently, the ministry is trying to put up local languages in the program, something has never been done before. So the biggest difficulty has been which local language, in which region. I mean, we know how diverse Cameroon is. So, well, we picked up that task as an assignment, and we said, okay, we have a tool that could be used. That is, I mean, wherever you're in Cameroon, you can have it. So why don't we actually, go ahead of the government? So we rebuilt the nursery to actually adopt these local languages. And we started loading local languages, and it's great. So we're trying to just get some approval from up. Like, we need that endorsement. Without that endorsement, we spend on marketing and we'll not go anywhere. But if it's endorsed from the top, our teachers know about it. They simply recommend. We're not really asking for much money from the government, but we believe more in a sustainable system, wherein if you use it, you love it, you pay a token, it helps the system thrive and everyone's good.
Wow, that's amazing. So that you are not only working as a web as a full stack developer.
Okay,
Yeah, with the Miya Academy.
Yes.
You also have these other platforms such as Lofolo and the Checkout. So tell me a little bit about that.
Okay. The Follow is a project we did in 2017, where a very good friend of mine, Cedric, he told me, IT cards keep getting missing all the time, and people have this difficulty picking up the IT cards. So he said, well, can I build a system around that? I said, well, if you're ready to finance the project, I'm ready to build, because building is not the issue, but the issue is how do you market it out there, how do you push it to everyone. So within that same week, we said, okay, let's take 1 week, we get back next week. And like 4 days, I showed him that, what do you think about this? I was still trying to get a prototype, but he looked at it, he loved it, so we kicked it on. The project did not really go far because at that point, using internet was not really a thing. If you're not on Facebook, I don't know, I think WhatsApp was still picking up by then. So everyone was more interested in entertainment rather than any functional utility. So after a while, he saw that he was spending, but it was not going anywhere. So he actually let go. So right now, I don't think the domain name is still on. Yes. Yeah, but then after that, it's true. I'm a self-taught web developer. Yeah, good. Full stack developer equally embodies web developer. Great. So after that, I did not really believe in what I could do. I built so many projects with a Sony machine. So after that first experience, people loved it, but to me, it was something very minimal. So I said, okay, let me start something for real too. I realized that media stations had difficulty. How do I know the program is running in a certain media station at a specific time? Or how do I catch the rebroadcast? So I actually told myself, okay, let me build a platform that will permit media stations go online, very fast and very cheap. So little did I know it was going to be so demanding. I built a working system, no clients.
Oh.
Yeah, and being in Yaoundé, it was not really easy. I just left school. I just left. I just finished my master's from School of Public Works. So, as a graduate, no money. You have to make some money. So, the project actually started declining after a while when there were no customers. And luckily, like in 2 months after that, I think the first customer came in, 2 customers. But lucky the first customer who ever subscribed. To date, they are still there. In fact, they are the ones, it's just from their money that will pay the bill, so it's not making a dime. But luckily the platform is still online, and it was just like it was God sent, because recently when we're launching in Rwanda, that was actually the project that actually helped us get visibility. Yeah, because we launched, marketing budget was very high. We could not meet up with marketing budget, so we said, okay, can we get a few media stations who are interested in going online? Let them try our system and see. So we made them exchange of services. They loved it, and they have been broadcasting on FM. And people have been loving it and interacting. So, I just think I still time the first media station we subscribed back then, that's 2017, 2018. Until they are the only people really keeping the platform going based on what they're giving me.
Wow.
Yeah.
After the break, more with Cho Nkarimbi Valerie. If you're just joining us today on the Shirlma Show, we've been in the presence of Cho Nkarimbi Valerie, a full stack developer with Miya Academy and Lofolo. Presently, you're not only a full stack developer with Miya Academy, you're also a full stack developer with Checkout, and you also have some other projects that you're working with.
Yes, definitely.
So I have a mentor who feels like sometimes we get so involved in many projects, so much so that we don't really focus on one to make it grow, or to see it reach maybe its full potential before going to the next. So what do you think about that?
Okay, he's correct.
Okay.
Yes, he's correct, but then let's now see if it works. because that's one thing, being correct and proof of concept.
Yeah.
I have grown in Cameroon, I have hustled in Cameroon, and I would say it's not possible. Yes.
Okay.
It's not possible because you have bills to pay. If you say you focus on one thing and try to get it right, you might not. What happens if you don't get it right? Who pays the bills? Besides, any digital project is very demanding at the start. Not just the skills, but equally the financial part. You have a server to host, you have a domain name to get, and all of that running. Who pays those bills? Because matter of fact, in as much as I try to engage in as many startups as possible, but recently I've actually cut off. Yeah, if it's not meaningful, I don't engage because it's going to be, it wears you out. But then you can't really, all the other developers I've interacted with, you equally do some freelancing to bring in the money. Yes, because building a website to me takes a maximum 1 day. So if I build a website and I charge you 100K, that permits me finance 1 or 2 things. So that's how I've been growing there. And equally, I'm a wholesaler of hosting. So I have many clients, and the overdraft I get from what they pay, I equally help use it to finance 1 or 2 things. I equally do some consultancy too. So you see, there isn't a formula. If there's a formula, I'll be very glad to use it.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
Right, I get your point.
Yeah.
So tell me, how did your educational background, right, help enhance maybe what you're doing today?
Okay, recently, there is this wave of schools to scam. But I really don't think school is a scam. No matter what you learn in school, even if it's geography, no matter what you learn, it's going to help you someday. Yes, okay, let me take myself as an example. I went through secondary in Bamenda. From there, throughout secondary, Bamenda, between 2 schools. Then I went to the University of Buea, I read microbiology. Finished from University of Buea, went to University of Yaoundé 1, read biochemistry. Then went to School of Public Works, did civil engineering, environmental engineering. But within my leaving of Buea and getting into and starting Yaoundé, a friend introduced me to web development. Yeah. It was very difficult because you don't have any mentor. If I had a mentor like yours, probably would have directed me better. I never had anyone to guide me, so and YouTube was not really a thing by then. So I read so many books, practiced so much, and at one point I found myself, because a web developer, a software engineer in general, he does not do any miracle. If he's not solving a problem that exists without the internet, he's not going to make money. Facebook made money because they tried connecting people. Without internet, people had difficulty being connected. Brought the internet simply to connect them. Same thing with YouTube, all of them. We must be solving a problem that exists without internet. So you see that whatever problem you're trying to solve must equally be linked with any of the disciplines you do. So I was given that I moved between the sciences in general, from life sciences back in Buea to environmental sciences in University of Yaoundé 1 years, now into computer sciences. So I had this advantage of blending between different fields. Reason why I've been able to engage in different fields too. But now using the internet, using all the technologies the internet brought to solve the same problems. So my background as an individual, I don't regret spending a year and failing in anything I did, because it actually helped me, and some of them are really still helping me today.
Yeah. That's really amazing. I like the way you put it anyway. Because sometimes we don't really look at it that way, So
exactly. And just to extend on that, even you might find yourself reading. For instance, back at the School of Public Works, we had a course now on you had to do software. But given I had started building software, I was still a novice, but it gave me an upper edge among all my classmates. Reason why. Back then we were doing geographical information systems, simply geography linked with IT. So I found myself very comfortable in the course, and I've been using it very recently, because by then people were using Google Maps, and even the whole technology behind Google Maps till date, many people don't understand well, but it's wonderful. Google makes it very easy. I get the map, I go wherever I want to go, period. But now when you meet someone who wants to adapt it to his business, good, that's where you make your money, because most people, 90% are just users. And when now you come back to who are those who can actually build something out of that technology, there are few. So I just think that blend is very necessary in everything we do.
Oh, that's beautiful. So then I'm talking about maybe websites,
Yeah.
right? Now you have all these social media handles. You have Facebook, you have WhatsApp, you have Instagram, you have LinkedIn. So is the website still as relevant as it used to be?
I would say a website is even more relevant today than it was before.
Tell me more about it.
Yeah, we'll complain that running a website is costly.
Yeah.
But running a website is not really costly, depending on what you want to do. If you are beginning, you don't need a website. But if you want to stand out, you need a website. Let me take the case of Facebook. The past 2 years, everyone has been selling everything on Facebook. People have been duped. Let me know you actually use the website, but duped. You contact someone on Facebook, he will tell you everything, probably you even send money after that. Oof, the person is gone. But if you were interacting with someone on a website, it's going to be different. It's going to be different because that person has spent money to acquire a domain name, to build a reputation. You can't just build a reputation and out of the blue you are gone. This is different from, okay, in our society too, scammers and everything, they build a website today and tomorrow you want to go, it's all gone. But that's different, they haven't built any name. Don't see 1-2 ads and you're going there. Don't see 1 or 2 referrals and you're going there. All of that is social engineering. Anyone can do that. But for instance, before Jumia closed, Jumia was very, it had a good reputation. If you got something from Jumia, you will get it, probably not what you saw, but you will get an article and you could complain to someone. On Facebook, who do you complain to? Do you write to the Facebook headquarters saying someone got your money and did not get back to you? It does not exist. But today, with Glotelo, I think they should be leading e-commerce platform in Cameroon. If I pay for something on Glotelo, I don't get it back, I know where to complain. Glotelo can't run on Facebook. It won't be credible enough. So, if you are starting, yes, use Facebook, use Instagram, but you should have a vision. Are you just aiming at, being average? If you're aiming at being average, fine. Facebook is your niche. Stay on Facebook, stay on Instagram and all the rest. But if you are aiming to go bigger, you need a platform of your own. You need your identity, you need your address, which is that domain name. When I type whatever, I fall on you, yeah, great. Let's look at the case of Amazon. I've not shopped from Amazon, I've hardly even gone there. But I know the owner, I don't know if he used to or he's still the richest person. He had his identity. Had it been he went and tried to build all of that on Facebook, come on, would have never worked.
So what are some kind of must when it comes to building a website?
Oh, okay, now it would depend too. Are you a non-profit or are you for-profit? If you're a non-profit, all you need to do is actually be out there. You need to be online. That's all you need to do. So you don't bother about SEO, you don't bother about really optimizing your website and all of that. And I think that's why most non-profits, they don't pay well. The website. Well, the ones have come across.
Okay.
Yes, because when you come now, like you're for profit, the next thing I'll ask you is what you're doing. Let me take the case of who approached me. Said, great. So I approached me recently. I wanted an e-commerce platform. So I asked the person, okay, you want an e-commerce platform? I said, okay, great. For an e-commerce platform, a good one, are you ready with 600K? The first person accepted and said, okay, let me show him 1 or 2 prototypes. A lady contacted me when I said, she shouted, she said, fine, it means we can't work together. Because if someone starts shouting at 600K, I've even asked, what would be the functionalities? And I think I even told her before that, it depends on what you want. Okay, let me take the case of e-commerce for instance. There's no e-commerce platform that is non-profit. All e-commerce platforms are for profit. We are trying to sell something. Great. Let me take the case of e-commerce. When a user comes to an e-commerce platform, he sees articles he can interact with, pick 1 or 2, and then move to checkout and all of that. But now, what about that one's very easy to do. You have WordPress, you get a template, and boom, you're good to go. But now, what about the logistics behind? When you get that article, who removes it from the stock? who credit your stuff when things come up. You need an intuitive interface to actually manage all of that. And then we have an issue in, I dare to say Africa, but let me say Cameroon. We have an issue in Cameroon, which is we don't use custom solutions. Everything we use online. I for one, I'm equally a victim. Throughout the week, I don't think I've used, if I've used an African or Cameroon made app, I mean, it should be like 2%, and the other 98% must be something very foreign. So we have e-commerce platforms that are not adapted to our context, to be frank. So when the person approached me, I told him, I want to build you what you will find in other WordPress templates. If you want to get yours, I'll build you something custom made, integrating mobile money, the MTN and Orange. That's what I'll give to you. Rather than, but if you are ready, I go, I see WordPress, I load WordPress, I get template, and I give it to you. But you won't go anywhere. You won't go anywhere because one, it's going to be most of the times heavy. Because people on WordPress, they just, in fact, the one-man show. You get an article, you don't optimize the picture, you load the picture, and just to come back to this picture aspect, just show you one thing that actually hurts websites. You build a website and you get an image from, say, Unsplash or Pixabay or Pexels. I mean, these are free images. You get an image of, an African black person trying to do some sales, but that's what we all use around. Yeah. Hardly do you find digital platforms that actually take time to do shooting. It's expensive. Yeah, so we actually go for the free images. So someone takes a free image that weighs about, let's just say the free image weighs about 3 megabytes. It's even low. I've seen people loading images of about 10 megabytes on the website. You load an image 3 megabytes, right? Let's say it's an e-commerce platform. At the end of the day, you find yourself with, let's just say 10 images, which is not possible because you must have at least 20. So 10 images, that's 30 megabytes. Okay, cool. You put it on your website and you ask someone, you share to your friends, like, please check out this thing. The person who just bought this 100 megabytes for 100 friends. By the time he loads it, what happens? By the time all those pictures are loaded, 1/3 of the internet is gone. It's left with, say, 70 megabytes. And he starts moving around, switching between pages. You want to say he's no longer connected, his internet is finished. He does not know it's that website. He will just say, MTN a scam, MTN a scam. MTN is not a scam. It's a guy who built that platform. He did not know what he was doing. Yes, because on YouTube, no one takes you from zero to finish on how to build a website. No one does that because building a website is one of the most complex things that exist out there. Though it could be simplified, but actually to build a website, okay, let me actually come in detail. To get a website done, what the full stack developer does is it takes care of wireframing. Therefore, how would the website look like on paper? It does that on paper first. When you validate as a client, you now go into UI, the UI element, the user interface elements, what you will see. Then after that, you have to think about the UX, the user experience. When I click on this button, what should I do? When I click, that's why on Facebook, you know that when you click on an image, it's going to come up. Yeah. It's because these are so cool. Equally eases the task for we who don't have money for the research and development. They've actually built a concept in people's minds already on how to navigate on a website, on an app, and everything. So after the UI designer, the UX designer, you now come to the front end developer, who is now going to build what you will see and interact with. After you have the back-end developer. So when you click on a like, what happens is it sends a message. You must be logged in, right? It sends a message with my ID, the ID of the picture. It sends that to the back-end, a certain language. In the case of Facebook, it's going to be PHP. We'll pick up your ID and the ID of the picture and go to the database, look for that picture and give it the +1 and get now the sum total of those likes and bring it back to the front end. Like very fast.
Yeah.
So that's what the back-end developer does. And then now, okay, I talked about the database too. So as a full stack developer, you have to manage all of that. Yeah. And it's not something you can get in a year or in 2 years, to be frank. So the guy who goes to YouTube and in 30 minutes or in 30 days, it's a good start. but he should be humble enough to learn more to move forward, and it's going to be very good. Because I, for one, I'm a self-taught developer. I learned all of this by so many years, and being a self-taught developer is far more difficult than it was before. The technologies are just too many. The platforms are just too many. Find your way around. Even I don't even think, even for full stack web developer, the number of frameworks that exist, I just try to focus on a few, and I just try to do the job right. Yes, because at every point you need to recycle. It moves so fast.
So what are you doing when it comes to marketing and all of that? Because I see a lot of people who can code, who can kind of like create wonderful websites, but when it comes to the business aspect of it, it's kind of like they're lacking. You see a lot of guys, especially the guys in tech, you know. So we see a lot of them out there, but they kind of look like business people. But when you go deep, you see, okay,
they're not making their money.
Yeah, they're not making money.
Exactly.
So
yeah, it's funny, but in tech, it's very difficult to make money at the start.
okay.
It's very difficult. In fact, in every other business too.
Yeah.
If I start selling shoes today, it will take me a while to start making money. But in tech, it's far more difficult making money. Cool. In tech, for instance, if you see one platform actually like thriving, I think like 99 have died. 99 different startups. I think this is very current in the US Silicon Valley. That's what I hear, because I've not been there. But in Cameroon, we don't have statistics to actually make people understand what's happening. I, for one, I started with a couple of people. The person who like introduced me into it, at one point he just leaned back and focused on UI and UX. He's very good at that. But I told him, I'm in Cameroon. When someone comes and gives you a project, he does not care if you're a UI UX designer. He wants to see his work done. Yeah. So I told him, let me be the jack of all trades and actually go into the full stack thing. Because what we must know is a full stack developer will never be very good at finishing. That's one thing. You can have a working product, everything, but your finishing will never be perfect. Never. The reason why in the developed countries, Europe and US, each of these different stages I mentioned, it's a whole team that handles it. But in Cameroon, you can't get it together. You have to do everything. So that is the issue.
But do you think that maybe somehow it's because of this kind of like individualistic manner of living? Because if, for instance, you're good at maybe coding, for instance, I think there are marketers out there. Maybe you could also partner with somebody that is good in marketing. Maybe you could also partner with an accountant, and you guys create a good business.
Great, wonderful, so wonderful. Okay. Now, that's how it should work.
Okay.
Let's come back to our context, because one reason why we even built Miya Academy is, if you notice, I thought of this, get your content in context.
Yeah.
Let's not be fool. Let's not be. In fact, let's forget about theory. Theory is good. Theory permits you to understand what will happen in real life. Yeah. Let's come back now to the practicals. If you come up with an idea, and you come and tell A, who is a marketer, can we team up together with tell B? In fact, that's what I did for Checkham.
Okay.
It's not going well. After 1 week, I found myself as the only person working. After 2 weeks, I was the only person working. After 6 months, I was the only person working. When my first client got me, she told me, we don't deal with individuals, you have to incorporate. Great. I am a startup. I have to get incorporated. Had it been I had those other charges, who pays those bills? In fact, as a matter of fact, as she told me, we don't deal with individuals, we deal with corporations. The first money she gave me, I used it and created a company. And ever since then, that's how it has been moving. So, I'll take the case of, okay, the young guy who lives Boya, and he has a brilliant idea. He picks up a marketer, he picks up an accountant. What will the accountant be doing? I mean, there's no money coming in. What will they be counting? So he starts seeing the difficulties. Besides that, he's still trying to build a product. So what will the marketer be marketing? So after a year or two, when he has something that people have tested, his close friends should test and actually be very frank with him if it's working or not. And I really like everyone to emphasize on that. I like when I get negative comments, it helps me grow. It's no point telling me, wow, your product is wonderful, and I'm not growing. I mean, you're killing me. So let's try to act in context. But good, out there in Europe and the rest, it works because the funds are there. Yes, they're able to, you come with your project, you come and pitch, you pitch at the end, you're given 100K. I mean, that's much money. You get a team together and you're expected to grant that money, let's say 3 months. But the 100K here, I can sustain a business of 5 years, believe me. Yes.
I get your point.
Yeah.
More with Cho Nkarimbi Valerie after the break. If you're just joining us today, the Shirlma Show, we've been in the house with Cho Nkarimbi Valerie, a full stack developer at Miya Academy and the founder of Checkam, no, oh man. Okay, so Valerie, so what advice will you give to the youth out there who are actually kind of dreaming of a career in web development?
Okay, web development, because that's the field in which I am. The one thing I'll tell them, in fact, there are a couple of things, but for every field is persistence and consistency. Because the moment you do, so I mean, anyone can do anything. Yeah, I believe if I grew up on a football pitch and my father was a footballer, probably I'll be playing like it today. Yeah, maybe I'll have my career. So the moment you do something repeatedly, unconsciously, you just become good at it. So, but it's funny today, you find someone doing probably, I don't know, he's doing A today, tomorrow he's doing B. Imagine all the contacts he had created while doing A. By the time he's doing B, someone tries to refer a client like, go to that guy who does A well. You're already on B, how do you get back? So, is that persistence and consistency in what you do that will make you move forward? And in the case of web development, it's a promising field. Yes, it's promising in two ways. Either you getting a job or you starting your own product. Well, both are not without risk. It could fail. But what you must know is, if you want to thrive in the field, you must be ready to work hard. You must get the foundation well. Learn the technologies individually. Build something and push it out there. Yeah, people will laugh, people criticize. That's how we all move. Yeah, no one got it right at the first time.
Wow, amazing. We have some fun questions for you to actually relax with. Okay. So we want you to answer 3, if you don't mind.
Okay, what aspect of your culture do you admire most? I'm from the Northwest region, from Akum. I like the culture of the people when it comes to hustling.
Oh.
Yeah, they're actually giving their best in trying to, make it out there. Yeah, but it's rather unfortunate that most of those who make it out there are actually the school dropouts, but they make it big. Yes, but those who actually go to school, they actually have a longer path, and I just hope I have that same blood flow in my veins and it's going to be well very soon.
Wow, good. That's great. Okay.
Okay, without looking, right? Okay. What app can you not believe someone hasn't made yet? Wow. All problems have not been solved by an app, but all problems have been solved to a certain level by an app. There's no new app today. There's no app that does a new thing. Even Facebook did not do a new thing. YouTube did not do a new thing. Before Facebook came, we had High Five. But, okay, High Five, for those who remember High Five, it's really old. Yeah, but Facebook saw one thing High Five was not doing well and improved on it and became Facebook. Instagram saw some things Facebook did not do well and improved on it and it became good. Facebook knew that sooner or later they would be bigger than them, so they bought them when they were still young. Same thing what we do. We're not the first educative app out there. We'll not be the last, but we just hope we'll be able to stay for a while. Okay.
Last one.
I hope it's a good one. Who was your best friend back in your school days? Now, school days, I'm talking of primary, I'm talking of secondary, or back in the university.
Let's say primary school.
Let's say primary.
Yeah.
Primary. In fact, we used to hang out in a group.
Okay.
So in that group, I don't know, we used to do like everything together. We stayed in the same neighborhood. We schooled at in Yaoundé. We lived at Nimboman. And we schooled at St. Joseph and Fogada. That's very far. And we used to go together, come back together on Saturdays, go and serve mass together and everything. So I would not really say I had a best friend, where I had it, friends that we shared everything. Vuma Leslie, Abala Gerard, and Ambiju. Yeah.
So what's one trait about them that really made them stand out?
Just the fact that we're together all the time.
Okay.
That's just the thing. Yeah.
All right. Thank you. Valerie, hearing a lot of things that you do right, how can people actually be able to get to you to acquire your services?
By my name, Cho Nkarimbi Valerie.
Okay.
Typing that on Google, either you'll be redirected to my own Facebook page.
Okay.
No, my Facebook account, which has my credentials,
Okay.
or my LinkedIn account too. But if not, my own contact is 675-73-1671. That's for MTN, and Orange is 655-953774.
Okay. Beautiful. Thank you so much. It was really a pleasure having you here today.
The pleasure was mine. Trying to put out what we do, so it's a pleasure.
Thank you.
Thank you.
On today's edition of the Shirlma Show, we were honored to be in the presence of Cho Nkarimbi Valerie, a full-stack developer at Miya Academy and the founder of Checkam, no? Remember, we are here because you're there. Please do not forget to comment, like, and share our videos. Thank you for always being there.